knew nothing about politics. I literally thought Winston Churchill had been a Labour Prime Minister.
Hi, I'm Sophie, and this is Party Games, where I play games with politicians. And I'm joined here today by the lovely Dehenna Davison, Tory MP and former government minister. That sounds pretty cool, doesn't it?
It sounds pretty impressive.
Yeah, it sounds quite cool. Thank you so much for joining me today. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so excited for this game. I used to play this with my mum when I was like this big.
It's a good game.
I'm sorry, but I'm really competitive as well.
Okay, I'm ready.
To play Kerplunk, you each take turns removing a stick from this beautiful, colourful web of sticks. Balanced on top of the web are the dreaded marbles. The aim of the game is to remove a stick, but to try not to let any marbles fall down in your enclosure. The winner is the player with the fewest marbles at the end. Piece of cake. Now, back to the game.
Okay, well, I'll let you go first then.
Amazing. I'm going to try and go for a nice one.
As you go first, I'm going to ask if you can tell me a bit about your early life, like your childhood, the sort of jobs that you were doing before you came to this place in Parliament.
Yeah, I grew up in a pretty working class family. My kind of parents weren't into politics at all. Never voted, anything like that. The whole family was just about family, about hard work, making sure that, you know, we were keeping each other happy, keeping each other healthy, and making sure we were kind of building a better life for whatever came next. So I was the baby of the family, and my dad always said, I want, you know, my little one to have a great life, and he worked left, right and centre to try and kind of make that a reality. So at 17, I landed my first role with Pizza Hut, which I absolutely loved.
Did you get to take leftovers home all the time?
So much pizza. So I did that for a little while. I worked in a bookies, in a betting shop for a little while. By that point, I'd kind of got interested in politics. So I did a bit of an internship with a Conservative association. And then worked in a video game shop for a while, which was awesome. And aside from this job, of course, best job I ever had because I love video games.
Do you have a favourite?
So it's really hard. My favourite game that I've played recently was Hogwarts Legacy, which I platinumed. I found the time somehow by hook or by crook to actually platinum it, and it's the first game that I've platinumed in a really long time. So I came to Mario Kart late, and so I'm pretty rubbish at it, but annoyingly competitive, so it really frustrates me.
I quite want to play Mario Kart for our next game.
I'm ready. Series 2, we do Rainbow Roads, and it just all goes wrong.
Okay, so politics. You ended up getting involved a bit, you said, with politics.
Yeah.
Okay, the marbles did move a little bit.
It's fine.
What led you to the Conservative Party then, and the kind of values that it holds?
For me, the family weren't political at all. As I said, my mum and dad had never actually voted. My grandparents were kind of your classic swing voters, so they voted Conservative under Thatcher and then Labour under Blair. But it was kind of, I knew nothing. I knew nothing about politics. I literally thought Winston Churchill had been a Labour Prime Minister. I mean, that's how ignorant I was back at the time. But I kind of got interested in politics as kind of a tool for doing stuff when I started doing it at A-level. And so I looked through what the parties were talking about at the time. It was David Cameron as leader, and thought about the values that I'd grown up with, and, you know, the stuff I talked about before of aspiration, hard work, building a better life for, you know, future generations of your family. And at that point, to me, the only party that really spoke those values was the Conservative Party. Things that, you know, David Cameron was saying about aspiration, about building that better life, about rewarding hard work and rewarding, you know, hardworking people, hardworking families, whatever the phrase was at the time. That, to me, just felt very right.
Okay, right, I'm going to let you have another go. It's always that thing at the start, you're kind of in safe ground.
Yeah, I think we're all right.
We're okay.
Boom.
I'm going to go in quick succession.
When you get later down and as you spin it, they start to move more, isn't it? And you're kind of like,
We're slowly. Okay, do you want to get another one in? We'll get a few.
sort of middle again.
And I wanted to ask you, Dehenna, as well, about stuff that you've spoken about before, about your dad and what happened to your dad and how that influenced you wanting to get into politics.
Of course. I mean, my dad was one of my biggest inspirations. He was great. And when I was 13, he was 35, back in 2007. He went out to the pub on a Friday night with his mates as normal, and he never came home. And he never came home because he'd been punched once and was basically dead before he hit the ground. Which is the sort of thing that you like see it in movies, you see it in soap operas, but it doesn't happen to real people, does it? Like, no one dies from a single punch, except they do, and in our case did. And it was such a shock, such a traumatic time for the family, because, I mean, grief is awful. Whoever you are, you know, however it happens, grief is terrible. But when you have grief combined with such shock that we had, I mean, Dad was really healthy, 35, he kind of hoiks granite around for a living, so he was, you know, really fit. it was horrendous, and then having to go through the criminal justice system and experience a kind of criminal trial. And I was keen to be there and be present and be involved, because my mum and my dad's mum, I mean, Dad was her only child, so she understandably completely fell apart. They were really struggling to process everything. And I felt kind of weirdly at that age, it was my duty to kind of be present and try and take stuff in, so that if they weren't taking it in, at least as a family, we kind of had a full picture of what was going on. So every kind of lawyer's appointment I was there, I kind of was at court the entire way through for the trial and stuff, which was, it's those sort of memories that I kind of remember them in a blurry fashion, but never try to go back and delve into them too deeply for fear of the kind of emotions that that'll unlock, if that makes sense. So at that point, everything completely changed in my mind about what I wanted to do with my life. I mean, ultimately the big driver was I wanted to make sure that Dad, wherever he was, would be proud of whatever I did, but also wanted to do something to stop other families having to go through what my family had to go through. And then when I kind of discovered politics, which was a kind of complete accident, I thought, oh, actually, this is it. This is the way that I can get involved, because you can actually go and change things. And right now, I'm working with both the Home Office and the Ministry of Justice to try and, one, improve the kind of victim experience, aka the families of victims and what their experience is. Kind of, if we can, get an improvement in sentencing, because even now, despite a few changes from the Sentencing Council, the average sentence for these violent assaults, which cause death ultimately, are about 4 years, which, if you've lost a loved one in those circumstances, nothing will ever feel enough, but 4 years feels insulting, frankly. But also just to kind of educate people, teach people that actually if you do throw your fist on a night out, this could be the consequence of it. And if we can stop one more death through it in that way, then to me that seems like a good thing. The brilliant charity One Punch UK have been second to none, not just for kind of supporting the work I'm doing, but supporting families. Many of whom are going through, the most shocking circumstances.
You're obviously very young when you came in, so you were 26, you stole Bishop in Auckland. It had never been a Tory seat since it was created in 1885.
Yeah, someone's done your homework, that is impressive.
Thank you, I got the script. But how did that feel then on election night in 2019 when you won? You must have been like, I've done it. Even though, you're wearing the ruby red.
I know,
I've got the blue.
I thought I'd appeal to your kind of mirror viewers and listeners and watchers and readers. On election day, I'm flitting around the constituency, touring polling stations, speaking to as many people as I could. I had a huge team out helping me, the real unsung heroes of election campaigns. So logistically, we're watching all these votes piling up for me and not so much for Labour in areas that have always been really strongly Labour. I remember turning to my campaign manager going, I think we've got it, And it was about an hour later that my opponent, the former MP Helen Goodman, actually came over to formally concede, because I think she knew sort of the game was up. Yeah, about an hour later, they pulled us round and found out I'd won, not just won, but won by nearly 8,000 votes, which was not anything I think we ever expected as a team. It's quite a night. I will never forget it in vivid detail.
Okay, would you like to have another go?
Ooh, okay, we're gonna do it. We're gonna go green this time. No!
The first marbles have fallen.
That's right.
Okay,
I'm
right.
behind for now, but I feel
we'll
like
have a few quick goes and see if we can.
Oh, look at that.
No marbles have fallen.
There.
Oh! Okay, I will take that one.
That's what we were talking about before, when they drop
that was not my
unexpectedly.
go.
Okay, am I going again? Are we going to have another one? Oh, this feels very dangerous.
I know.
We're gonna go for this one here.
Whew. Well played.
Thank
Okay.
you.
So then when you came in, I'm going to take another one. When you came in, you're quite a young MP, 26. How did you first find that?
Yeah, no, I was 26. I think there were 10 of us in the Conservative Party who got in under the age of 30, which is, in itself pretty fantastic compared to in recent years. I mean, the only thing I was really concerned about was whether some of the kind of old guard who've been here a long time and are kind of part of that, what people call the old boys club, would be accepting, because you just don't know, and you don't want to feel like an outsider in a place like this, because, kind of, given my upbringing, I already feel like an outsider in a place like this. You don't want anything to add to that. But actually, people were so welcoming. And I don't know if it's because, we had such a great victory, everyone was so buoyant, but it felt like we were kind of welcomed down from the northeast, like the cavalry arriving to come save the day or whatever. And I think it really just reinforced to me that actually there is a brilliant sense of kind of camaraderie here, and that we're all elected on the same terms and all part of the same club, weird club that it is. But I think there was a bit of a kind of notion amongst some colleagues who weren't a fan of this social media thing that it was like very immature. The problem with social media is the abuse you get, obviously. And I've had my fair share over the years. So it's one of those things that I still do it, but in a much more kind of controlled way. Like I'm much more disciplined with myself about how much I let myself look at comments. I kind of sometimes turn off comments. My team manage a lot more for me.
Okay, right. Let's do something fun then. Kerplunk. Back to the game, right? You can go.
I'm gonna go this one. This one looks
I hope I'm keeping
innocent.
track of whose go it is. So I'm not just making you go loads of
Yeah,
time.
exactly.
You can collect all the
That's how-
marbles. I'll let you have another go.
Let's distract her with questions and then. Oh.
They are just moving along. It's
Yeah, they're sort of.
they're doing okay. Would you like to go again?
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm gonna go this one. Oh.
They're
I
quite
thought that side was gonna go.
strong and stable.
We love a campaign slogan whilst playing Kerplunk.
I know, I try. Oh my gosh, we're doing so well.
We are.
We're still on 2-2. Oh, I hear them rattling.
Same.
You want to try?
Yeah, we're still 2-2, so it's all to play for. We're gonna go. Oh, I can see it. Oh no!
You have to catch it, literally like
Mildly more than 2.
Okay, we're not too all. Let's break now.
Oh.
Okay, that's still less than you, so whatever. So you're an MP, you're in Parliament. Everyone's like, you're the rising star. And you become levelling up minister very fast. For people who don't know what levelling up is, might you be able to explain that?
Yeah.
If you can.
Yeah, so I always got asked this a lot as minister.
Yeah.
For me, levelling up is a really simple concept, and it's basically making sure that wherever you grow up in the country, you've got access to the same great opportunities as anyone elsewhere, and you shouldn't be disadvantaged because of your postcode, basically. That to me is what levelling up is all about. It was an amazing job, and actually the only job I would have wanted in government, genuinely. And I know a lot of people say that, but I really do mean it. Because social mobility, given kind of where I grew up, has always been really close to my heart, and that's ultimately what levelling up's all about.
Okay, right. Another go. Now we've spoken about the government role. Show me how it's done.
I'm nervous. I had a bad one last time. Whew.
Not a single one.
Not a single one.
That does not bode well.
It's getting dangerous now, isn't it?
Okay, but you obviously stepped out.
Oh, how the tables have turned.
Literally one on my lap as well. Can you tell me a bit about why you stepped down then?
Yeah,
It's obviously a role that you loved.
I did. I loved it, and it was honestly best job in town. But it was, as anyone will appreciate, a really big workload, which is great when you're fit and healthy and hungry for it. But unfortunately, for years, I've been suffering with chronic migraine, which if anyone's ever had a single migraine, you'll know how blooming horrible they are. But chronic migraine means that you get headache on 15 or more days per month, and other migraine symptoms like nausea, vomiting, blurry eyes, disorientation, whatever, on 8 days a month. And for me, we've reached a point where it's headache every day, all day, at varying levels. So right now I'm about a 4 out of 10, which for me is pretty damn good. But it gets really bad sometimes, and because of the additional pressures of the government role and the time pressures and frankly the stress of it, I just wasn't functioning at the level I needed to. And I cared so much about the role being done well. Like ultimately, the reason I wanted to do the role was not so I could be like, I'm a minister. It was because I wanted to play a role in that social mobility improvement, and I wasn't giving it what it needed. And it was a really hard thing to admit, because no one likes to admit defeat, right? You don't like to admit weakness, and particularly in politics where people jump on weakness straight away, it's kind of even harder to admit that you're not up to it. But the kind of upside of it, weirdly, was that I accidentally stepped down in Migraine Awareness Week. I had no idea that was a thing, and I mentioned chronic migraine in my resignation letter. And so there came this huge swell of kind of media attention over it because it was Migraine Awareness Week, which linked me into two great charities, the National Migraine Centre and the Migraine Trust. So actually, I'm running a bit of a campaign with both those charities and a lot of other campaigners to really improve that, and held a Westminster Hall debate on access to migraine treatment. The first, this is a crazy thing, the first debate on migraine in Parliament since the 1960s. And yet, 1 in 7 people live with migraine, 10 million people, 10,000 per constituency, and no debate since the 60s.
Yeah. Oh, wow. And you're speaking up for so many people.
I'm trying.
And I'm going to let you have another go, and there's not that many marbles left, but...
I'm going to go like, maybe there, maybe there.
Well, that would be a tactical one, considering
That's very tactical.
I can tell everyone at home it's not touching any marbles. Obviously, you've also announced recently that you're going to stand down at the next selection at this place. How did you come to that decision? I'll take a quick one out.
Yeah, fine. Tough decision because look at that.
I know.
We're running out of good ones. That's the problem, aren't we? Yeah, really tough decision because, you know, I'd sort of in many ways been working towards this since I was in my late teens. But there were a few factors at play. I mean, the main one and the kind of biggest reason was just that, you know, my entire 20s had been politics. My entire 20s had been either trying to get elected, being elected, you know, running campaigns, being so careful because you know that if you're going to try and get into politics, every little thing that you do could be scrutinised. And so I ended up kind of not experiencing as many, you know, fun times with my mates, not experiencing as much family stuff. Like, you know, your family life does take a bit of a dive, particularly because my family are in Sheffield, so I don't get to see them as much now in the role. So it was those sort of decisions really that led to it. I mean, you know, other factors like the abuse and the social media nonsense and threat, but open to maybe coming back later.
Let's finish this game once and for all.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna hope these yellow ones hold this one in. Oh.
That's pretty good.
I'm gonna
what do you do outside of work to keep yourself distracted and do fun things?
Am I allowed that? Am I allowed outside of work? Is that?
Is it playing Kerplunk all the time because you?
It is.
Because you're quite good.
That is my one hobby and passion.
I have to take one of these ones, aren't I?
You can get the one though, and then I'm going to end up with the two. Oh! How did that happen?
So badly planned. I don't know.
I'm going to end up with this last one. There we go.
So yeah, what do? Do you manage to have some fun?
It's so weird. My hobbies are like hanging out with my mates, hanging out with my family. It sounds really naff, but I love music, particularly the one true artist that is Taylor Swift. It's become a religion, genuine religion. So I'm either looking at like Taylor Swift fan theories on TikTok, just watching movies, doing like normal stuff. Yeah. It's really nice. Video games when I get the chance to. I like to run when I can. I'm actually running the marathon to raise money for the National Migraine Centre.
Oh, amazing.
Which is fun, but running is difficult when you have migraine.
Other than the marathon, what's coming next for Dehenna after Parliament?
So people keep asking me this as though I've got some like career master plan lined up, and I really don't. Career-wise, I genuinely at this stage don't have a clue what I'm going to do. I have nothing lined up. There are causes I really care about. You know, the One Punch stuff, migraine awareness. I'm never going to step away from those being causes that are close to my heart, and you know, really passionate about LGBT causes as well, so maybe pulling up some work with an LGBT charity too.
And that was you were the first Tory female MP, was it, to come out as bisexual?
I think so. Yeah. I think so. It's one of those things, isn't it, where people say this about you and you don't know that at the time. I'm just like, okay, fine. I didn't even mean to come out. All my friends knew, all my family knew, anyone who mattered knew, half my colleagues knew. And it sort of slipped out in an interview that I've dated guys and girls. And it was like, oh, did we know that about you? I was like, oh. Yeah, good point actually.
Well, thank you so much for playing Kerplunk with me. I had so much fun playing with you. So I don't think we need to count for me to say.
Are you sure we don't need to? Are you sure?
A win for the MP and a loss for Sophie. Thanks for watching Party Gaze. Make sure to like, comment and subscribe.